Anime anti-piracy. This is a talking discussion that has been around for a long time. It has been getting even worse in recent months. The fact that Korea is now having even more harsher punishment, not only for the site holders, but also the people who just share a link, even just regular social media users like you and I. The fact that even us can get potentially affected, I think that is a problem. 100%. I feel like the fact that we have seen companies like these get so bold to attack so many piracy websites, but they do nothing to better their own service. They are so adamant on on seemingly getting rid of piracy in general that we have seen so many stories. Oh wow, so many stories of how there are just so much like on a global scale where you have seen that courts are even willing to ruin people's lives that you will get 5 times the actual damage. You would like you'll get bent fucked over 5 times. You potentially get 5 to 7 years. Potentially get 35 34K to I'm assuming to 68K. The fact that there are now even a provision against people who are providing links, and the fact that it is so crazy to me that even in the U.S. people are they are trying to implement something similar. The fact that we have seen Boto operator have been arrested, have been on bail, and he had to apologize, and he had now having to, I believe he had to pay that fine. The fact that like Japan and China, which that was surprising to me, the fact that they are so against piracy that Japan and China were willing to work together, it seems, and it's just so misguided. Like it genuinely truly is. I really do hate this because it sets a bad precedent of what could happen in the future. And again, people say that like anime piracy is bad. Anime piracy is bad. What about the billion-dollar company? Well, let me raise you a question. Let me raise you a counter argument. The billion-dollar companies, the million-dollar anime industry as a whole, they could do us a favor by listening to our genuine feedback about losing medium, the growing number of anime we are losing, the growing number of stuff that cannot be found on official media, on official capacity. And I think something like that definitely has to be said. That definitely has to be talked about because, like, the fact that, like, it has been a never ending cycle since the early 2000s. The fact that they are consistent on doing this for so long, they are consistent on going scorched earth. Like the fact that they are treating this like as it is an actual war crime. Because like the fact that when you have a company that in Crunchyroll, they increase their prices, they haven't said any benefits for or the reason why they increased their prices. They're just saying they're going to raise their prices, which I think is personally scummy. I think that is a terrible outlook. The fact that you are going this gung ho and just crazy to me. Like I agree with this guy's sentiment. Make your product accessible and affordable. Like when even something we can extend this to video game. Video game, people still pirate, of course. I'm not going to say they're not, but I would argue video game piracy is not as common as it used to be because there are so many ways to buy games now. There's not a monopoly, and even then, you don't really see. Yeah, even if you do pirate, you don't even really see companies go litigiously after you, except for maybe Nintendo. Nintendo honestly does remind me of what happened here with anime. But you have a guy like Gary Bowser, who he is not a good guy. I'm not gonna say he isn't, but this guy was done dirty. Like he owns Nintendo $14 million. This guy's old. He's 54. This guy's old. He has served 14 months, and he had originally had a 40 month sentence. And the fact that he is now 54, had to pay $14 million, he's never going to pay that back. Obviously, and the fact that they still decided to force that upon him, it was more so about sending a message that like Nintendo's not going to allow this. Nintendo is going to go. It's going to go after other people in similar quantity, and that trying to scare people away from acting in a behavior like this, and it does remind me of this, where they're trying to, I don't know what to get at, when they're trying their best to scare people away, they're trying to use a scare tactic from forcing people not to use pirated websites, not to share pirated websites, or even the site holders not to operate pirating websites. And it's just really sad because when, like, again, for the U.S., like the fact that they are consistently in the data that if one of the top illegal sites in the world is seen, like the fact that 40% are the 40% are based on anime, and the fact that like there is such a wide array of anime piracy, and the fact that the only way seemingly they think they could tackle that is by taking it all down instead of improving their own services, like Crunchyroll, Viz, all these different websites. When's the last time have we heard anything? They said that they're going to add any benefit for us. They haven't said anything positive. Like I want to like tell me one thing they said positive that everyone liked. Like genuinely, everybody thought it was a welcome to open arms that everybody celebrated. You rarely don't see you, you rarely see a move that Crunchyroll did that will for the betterment of us. Whether it comes to canceling their ad streaming services, their ad free streaming services, whether it's to increasing their price, whether it's to not doing their subtitles correctly. It has been a shit show for Crunchyroll and all these different platforms, and it's just like the fact that this is the only way to go about it. And to get more people on your platform is by basically strong arming them, and the fact that like we have cases like these where the fact that these people had to be things like this had to be placed on a watch list, similar to an FBI. The fact that they are taking this so seriously to the point they are putting it on a priority watch list. The fact that they are like actually like literally calling it the piracy watchdog. The fact that they are taking they're going out of their way. They're trying so hard to make a stronger framework and to establish a stronger foothold on anime anti-piracy. They're trying to squat it out completely. Like I get it, Japan has lost $30 billion, but again, if anime is $1 billion, anime and manga, if it's $1 billion company, why not improve your services? Yeah, you clearly have the money. It seems like production company, not production community. They just strong arm the animators into and they strong arm the animator into taking the money for themselves, but they don't really give the animators much breathing room. Like you always hear the horror stories of how there's a lot of censorship. There's a lot of lack of budget, and that's why you see so many studios nowadays. Well, nowadays they're trying to partner with something like Crunchyroll, not Crunchyroll, not Netflix. I can't remember the other one. Oh wait, it was Aniplex with EDG Firm. But the fact that we have seen so many horror stories. And despite the fact that anime is one of the biggest things in the world, and the fact that we are consistently seeing companies go the opposite direction, whether it's for their own employees, their own employees at the staffing control or Netflix, etc., or even the animators, etc., or the audience. It feels like we're all getting absolutely blasted. Like the fact that we are still not seeing much progression in anime benefits in general. The fact that they are still stuck in the 90s, because in the production community, they have been a thing since the 90s, and the fact that they're still struggling to progress in the modern age, and the fact that they're more worried about anime piracy than their own studios, than their own. It's just so misguided. Like I genuinely do think it's genuinely misguided. The fact that they don't really seem to genuinely support the animators. the audience. It just was so frustrating to me. I really do hate those. I really do hate the president, the cassette. I think this is just ridiculous. Cause like, what about the anime that are gone forever? Like, I guess we're just fuck up, right? Like, it's just so crazy to me seeing how it could be a nightmare to find anime. It could be so crazy. Like it's just ridiculous. Where you see how these companies, like again, they're trying to strong arm you. Which and it seems like nobody is appreciating this move, which I gladly appreciate. I hope there are more backlash because this is just not acceptable anymore. Like the fact that like if we continue to let this happen, I feel like anime will continue to devolve into something worse, where there's barely any options to choose from. Like we barely only have Crunchyroll. Like High Dive, Ocean Vale, all different platforms. They're there, right? But they're not that big enough to compete with the likes of Crunchyroll. Like at least in the U.S. And the fact that we have something like this, it's just gonna make that issue even worse. Where even more people are going to be forced onto Crunchyroll if they continue to spread worldwide. That's why I want to spread this message about the dangers this could potentially cause. I think this could be catastrophic, depending on the way this goes. I genuinely do think that. But regardless, let me know your thoughts on the potential of this being broad on a wider scale. And with that being said, guys, I'll see you on the next one.